This video features the guitar and bass parts that are present during the choruses of the song. The tuning used in this video and on the record is E flat and 440 wavelength calibration. If you're unsure how to tune E flat, please watch the video on this channel. E flat tuning and enharmonic notes for guitar and bass by Marc Wilson, and then return. This part can either be played on a clean electric guitar or on an acoustic guitar. We're going to start out working off of the C major chord. What we're going to do here is pick single notes and allow them to ring together. It'll be done as straight eighth notes, at least on the first measure. We'll start out by picking the root note, which is on the A string. That'll be on the 1 beat. We're going to skip across all the strings until we get to the high E string. That'll be picked on the AND beat after 1, followed by an upward pick of the B string on 2. And you're going to continue the upward sweeping picking motion to the G string on the AND beat after 2. This is what you have so far. Counted 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. From that point you're going to go back down to the high E string. You're going to pick it downwards on 3, followed by an upward picking motion on the B string on the upbeat after 3. You're going to continue that upward sweeping picking motion to the G string on 4. And then you're going to end the first measure by picking down on the high E again on the AND beat. This is what you've got. Just like that. Counted 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. From that point you're going to pick the open A string down on 1. This is the second measure we're starting. As you're picking the open A string, you're going to place your fingers down to create a D major chord. On the AND beat, you're going to pick the high E string downwards. Then you're going to follow that by an upward picking motion of the B string. And you're going to continue that upward sweeping picking motion to the G string. This will be counted 1 and 2 and. Just like this. Okay, 1 and 2 and. This is what we've got so far. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. Okay, from that point you're going to pick the open E string down on 3. And you're going to go to the high E string, pick it downwards on the AND beat after 3. You're going to continue by picking upwards on the B string at 4, open. You're going to continue that upward sweeping picking motion to the open G string on the AND beat after 4. This is what you'll have. Okay, that's the first 2 measures of what we're doing. This is what you got so far. That actually repeats 1 time. I'm going to do this slow and I'm not going to count. You should be able to count that steady 1 and 2 and 3 and all the way through. Just this is very complicated to play slowly and teach you. It's not that hard to play though. Okay, this is what you got. Then we're going to go back to the C major for 1 more measure. Then we're going to go to the A minor chord. Now watch when I go to the A minor chord. I'm only going to move my 3rd finger from its position right to the G string on the 2nd fret. Okay? We're going to play this for a half note. We're going to let it ring for 2 beats. 1, 2, just like that. I'm giving it a strake. Okay, what a strake is if you strum it, you play it like this. If you rake it, you play it like this. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, a strake. So we're going to strike that for half a measure, count of 1, 2. 1, 2. Actually, I should do it as I pick it. 1, 2. Then we're going to go to the D major chord for 3, 4. 3, 4. And that's the end of this. Let me do that slow one time just to make sure you got it. The part that I just showed you is very simple yet complicated at the same time. It's simple because there's really not a lot to it, but it's complicated because it's hard to play it smoothly and get all the notes to ring out. I'm going to attempt to play this at record speed now. I was playing it slow just to make sure you could follow and understand what I was doing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... The best thing to do is to practice it really slow. And as you start to get more comfortable and it starts to sink in, then you speed it up as you start to get better at it. The supporting guitar part is actually a distorted electric that gets lost in the mix. I'm going to do this clean so you can hear the way these chords ring out better. What you're doing is you're just supporting the other guitar part by striking the chords as the other guitar changes. You're going to let these chords ring out for either a full measure or a half a measure. In other words, a whole note, which is 4 beats, or a half note, which is 2 beats. With the 4-count lead in, I'm sure you'll be able to follow this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Two things I'd like to point out there. Notice that when we go from the E minor chord back to the C major chord, that the middle finger never moves. It's locked on that string. As I go back and forth between these chords, watch how efficient this is. The same is true of the C major and the A minor. Look how efficient this is. The last thing I'd like to point out is that in this part here we actually used 5 of the 7 scale tone chords for G major. The only 2 that are missing is the B minor and the F sharp diminished. These instrumental parts appear at 3 different intervals in the song. The first occurs at 32 seconds on your timer. The second occurs at 1 minute and 7 seconds. The last appearance is at 2 minutes and 38 seconds. We're going to start out on the C note located on the A string at the 3rd fret. The first 2 beats are going to be 8th notes counted 1 and picked down up just like this. 1 and. Then you're going to pause for an 1/8 of a measure on 2. Then we'll resume picking the C note as straight 8th notes on the upbeat directly after 2. It'll be counted and 3 and 4 and. Pick just like this. Notice the picking motion. Up, down, up, down, up. This is what the first measure is going to sound like. Notice that there was 2 upward picking motions in a row. The upbeat right after 1 and the upbeat right after the rest on 2. With a 4-count lead in, let's do that one time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3 and 4 and. From that point we start the second measure. We go to the D note located on the A string at the 5th fret. We're going to play the first half of the measure as straight 8th notes counted 1 and 2 and, pick down up, just like this. 1 and 2 and. Then we'll go to the E note to finish the measure located on the 2nd fret of the D string. This will be picked as straight 8th notes counted 3 and 4 and, pick down up, just like this. 3 and 4 and. this is what the second measure is going to sound like. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's do this process up until that point with the 4-count lead in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. This actually repeats itself one time. So let's do it again, including the repeat in a 4-count lead in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. From this point we're going to go back to the C note, and the first half of the measure will be played the same. We'll have the same pause there on 2. 1 and 3. Pick down, up, down, just like this. And from there we're going to do a little fill. We're going to go to the B note located on the 2nd fret of the A string. This will be picked upwards on the upbeat right after 3, followed by the open A string on 4, picked downwards, and then followed by the G note located on the E string at the 3rd fret, picked upwards on the AND beat directly after 4. This fill is basically straight 8th notes. This is what you're going to have for that last measure. Be counted 1 and 3 and 4 and. And notice the picking motion, down, up, down, up. 1 and 3 and 4 and. Just like that. Let's try the entire process up to that point. Starting from C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, from this point we're going to go to the open A string. We're going to play 3/8 notes, counted 1 and 2, pick down, up, down, just like this. 1 and 2. Right after 2, we're going to do a couple fast 16th notes. Right after the 2 beat, we're going to pick them down, up. So this last measure we're going to do here, this is what the first half of the measure is going to sound like. 1 and 2 in a. Pick down, up, down, up. 1 and 2 in a. And then we're going to pick the D note one more time on 3. Pick down. Let me give you a 4-count lead in. And we're just going to do this last measure up to that point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and a 3. To finish out the measure, we're going to do another fill. We're going to pick the C note up on the AND beat directly after 3. Then we're going to pick the open A string down on 4. Then we're going to finish the fill by going back to the G note, picked upwards on the upper AND beat directly after 4. This is what that last measure is going to sound like. Count 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and. Okay, let's try the entire passage up to that point with a 4-count lead in. Starting from the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The third and final time that the chorus appears in the song, it's going to be played slightly different in a couple spots than we did it the first 2 times through the song. We're going to play it the first pass through exactly the same way that we have been doing it, just like this. On the second pass through, we're going to go to this E note an eighth of a beat quicker. Instead of picking it down on 3, we're going to go to it on the upbeat or the AND beat directly after 2 with an upward picking motion. Once we pick it, we're going to hammer on to the F sharp. We'll pull off of the F sharp back to the E, and that pull off will be to the 3. Then we're going to pick on the upbeat right after 3 on that same E note. Let's do the second pass through the chorus just so you can see what I'm talking about. I'll count it just so you can see how it's being counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. just like that. From that point, you'll go with your first finger to the 7th fret of the low E string. That's a B note. We're going to pick this down on 4 and slide down in pitch, just like this. So if we do that second pass, starting from the C note, 4 count lead in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then on the final pass through the chorus, we're going to play it exactly the same way that we have been doing it. The only thing that's going to be different is the very last note of the chorus. Instead of ending on the G note, we're going to go up to the F sharp note. So instead of filling like this, we're going to fill like this. Let's do the entire third chorus one time just to make sure that you can follow it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2